John Gill's Commentary on the Bible, Genesis 1, verse 24. And God said, Let the earth bring forth a living creature after his kind. All sorts of living creatures that live and move upon the earth. Not that the earth was endued with a power to produce these creatures of itself, without the interposition of God, for that it might be impregnated with a quickening virtue by the Spirit of God, which moved on it whilst a fluid, and had been prepared and disposed for such a production by the heat of the body of light created on the first day, and of the sun on the fourth. Yet no doubt it was by the power of God accompanying his word that these creatures were produced of the earth and formed into their several shapes. The heathens had some traditionary notion of this affair. According to the Egyptians, the sediment Diores Siculus seems to give us the process was thus carried on, the earth being stiffened by the rays of the sun, and the moisture matter being made fruitful by the genial heat at night received nourishment by the mist which fell from the ambient air, and in the day was consolidated by the heat of the sun, till at length the enclosed Photius, having arrived to a perfect increase in the membranes, burnt and burst creatures of all kinds appeared, of whom those that got a greater degree of heat went upwards and became flying fowl. Those that were endued with an earthly concreation were reckoned in the class or order of reptiles and other terrestrial animals, and those that chiefly partook of a moist or watery nature ran to the place of a like kind and were called swimmers or fish. This is the account they gave, and somewhat like is that which Archelaus, the master of Socrates, delivers on his notion that animals were produced out of slime, through the heat of the earth liquefying the slime like milk or food. And Zeno, the Scholic, says, the grosser part of the watery matter of the world made the earth, and the thinner part the air, and that still more subtilized the fire, and then out of the mixture of these proceeded plants and animals and all the other kinds. But all this they seemed supposed to be done by the mere effects of nature, whereas Moses here most truly ascribes their production to the awful powerful word of God. Cattle and creeping things and the beasts of the earth after his kind. The living creatures produced out of the earth are distinguished into three sorts. Cattle, which seems to design tame cattle, and such as are for the use of man, either for carriage, food, or clothing, as horses, asses, camels, oxen, sheep, etc., and creeping things, which are different from the creeping things in the sea before mentioned. Here such as either have no feet, or go upon their belly, or are very short, and seem to do so, without whether grosser or lesser, as serpents, worms, ants, etc. And the beast of the earth seems to designate wild beasts such as lions, bears, wolves, etc. And it was so. Such creatures were immediately produced.